All right, so if you watched the last video, that one's going to be the general idea on how you find it. This video right here is going to support the second question of the project because it's a special situation. And so this question here we have is, given that the line passes through 1, 2, and 1, negative 4. So let me go ahead and draw that line in here real quick. So when I do that, I'm going to just go ahead and I'm going to kind of draw this line straight down here. You'll notice that that's a vertical line. It's straight up and down. And so that's going to have a unique slope. You're trying to find an equation of a line that passes through that perpendicularly at 3, negative 2. Or that passes through it at a perpendicular line going through that point 3, 2. So it's going to kind of look something like this right here. So that's what we're going to end up seeing in terms of our line. And so the key point on this is that when you look at it, you're going to have that's going to be perpendicular to it, but those are special situations or special circumstances. And so what you can still do is you can still follow some of those similar steps. So you'd want to find what your M is. Well, the problem is if you go here to the M, you're going to notice that, like, if I do the rise over run, I could go ahead and I could count this and I could go 1, 2, 3, 4. That would be like a -4. Well, there's no run. So if I did a rise over run, what you're going to see is you're going to see that it would be -4 over 0. Well, I can't divide by 0. That's kind of one of the basic things that we learn about when we're doing division. So that right there is what we would call undefined. So it's undefined. So in this case here, what we'd be looking at for the slope is we would just say it's undefined, just like that. Now, when you have an undefined slope, so if your slope is undefined, then your equation is just going to be x equals some number. And so you can kind of see that. What is my x going to be equal to? Well, if you look at your numbers that you have here, you have x is 1, x is 1. In this case here, my equation is just that x is equal to 1. That's what that line is going to be. That blue line is just x equals 1. Well, that's what we'd have for our slope. You could plug it into the formula if you want to, but it's going to come out to the same thing, where you're going to end up having it be 0 in the bottom, which then means that it's going to be undefined. The other special kind of slope would be if I looked at the slope of the green line. So let's go ahead and I'm just going to write that out. So if I look at my green line slope, I got to figure out what that is. Well, I could kind of do the same thing here. And so I'm going to go ahead and look at this. If I just pick a random point on my green line, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's +5. But then if you notice, I have 0 in terms of my rise. I'll have all run and no rise. So it would be 0 over 5. Well, anytime that you divide something by 0, what you're going to end up getting is just going to be 0. That's what you're going to end up getting. And so in this case here, our slope would just be a 0 slope. And so anytime that you have a 0 slope, your equation is just going to be y equals some number. And so if I wrote multiple different points on here, let me grab a different color, and I can write out a few points on this. I could come over here and put this point down. If I look at that point, it's going to be, oops, might help if I put the bracket right, 6, -2. That's going to be my point there. This point right down here, I would have -2, -2. So if you notice on those, my point is always going to be whatever my y is equal to. In this case here, it's going to be y is equal to -2. So there's not really a whole lot of extra steps that you're going to end up having to do with it. The big thing is still going to be find out what your slope is and then find out what your equation is. But your equation is going to be one of those special situations. Your equation is going to either be x is equal to some number or y is equal to some number, depending upon what it is. So if it's x, your line is going to look like this, where it's vertical, straight up and down. If it's y, it is going to be horizontal, and it's going to look like that.